guys, I'm Sapphire.
Ooh, Sapphire. That's a pretty name.
And I work in animation. I'm from LA, and this is my story.
Ah, yes. Race in America. Snarled.com's regular series of anecdotal evidence that racism is the horrendous scourge of society they want us to think it is. What tragic tale do we have today?
So I was working in downtown LA about 3 years ago. Me and my friend wanted to go to a Lady Gaga concert at the Staples Center after work one night.
Okay, just getting the details down here. Lady Gaga concert and downtown LA. Got it.
So we really wanted to get dressed up because it was Lady Gaga. So we got our really bright wigs and these really cute outfits, and we got ready at the office. And then when we walked downstairs and outside to wait for our Uber, I was like, oh, right, we're downtown. This is gonna get so much unwanted attention.
All right, bright wigs, cute outfits, again, downtown LA, and you realized that this would get you unwanted attention. Got it.
So we were just trying to ignore everyone who was being really obnoxious. And this guy who was walking by stopped, came up to us and said, "Ni hao? Konnichiwa? Annyeonghaseyo?"
Huh. You're dressed in bright wigs, cute outfits, you're in downtown LA, and you're of Asian ethnicity. I wonder why he would say those things to you.
I'm just trying to say hi in your native language. And I was like, I cannot ignore this guy. So I looked at him and was like, so English? And then he looked at me and was like, no, you know what I mean? Where are you from? And I was like, California.
Do people from different countries happen to come to LA at all? If someone sees an Asian girl dressed up like some J-pop star or cosplay character, is it unreasonable of them to imagine that you might be from somewhere other than Los Angeles?
And he was like, no, but what's your ethnicity? And I just did not want this guy to be here anymore. And so I was just like, okay, I'm Filipino. And he's like, oh, so hola, which is Spanish. It's not even Filipino.
Really? Spanish isn't Filipino, you say? Spanish was the official language of the Philippines from the beginning of Spanish rule in the late 16th century through the conclusion of the Spanish-American War in 1898. It remained, along with English, as co-official language until 1987. It was at first removed in 1973 by a constitutional change, but after a few months it was redesignated an official language by presidential decree and remained official until 1987, when the present constitution removed its official status, designating it instead as an optional language. So yes, maybe this guy's knowledge of the Philippine languages was a bit out of date, maybe he was recalling something he had learned somewhere, but it's obvious he's far more culturally aware than you are. And isn't a lack of cultural awareness something that is constantly lamented over these days?
And then he just walked away. And then we got in our Uber. He asked for our numbers before he left. And I was like, oh, so that's your game. Okay. Who has this ever worked for?
Oh, he also asked for your numbers. So he was hitting on you. He thought you were attractive. He asked you some questions as an attempt to get to know something about you, and then asked for your numbers. He was attracted to you, asked harmless questions, then walked away. How racist.
For some reason, people seem to think that I'm pretty ethnically ambiguous. A lot of people are oh, I can't tell what you are. And when I was younger, I used to think that was so cool. I was like, oh yeah, I'm so exotic. But now I'm this is actually really offensive.
Offense is taken, never given. If you choose to be offended by people being curious about you or wanting to get to know you better, that is entirely your decision.
When people ask where I'm from, or what my background is, it's just furthering that narrative that I'm foreign or other, and it's just really uncomfortable now.
I went to Louisiana once, and at one point a gentleman stopped me on the street asking me for the time. I gave it to him, and he immediately asked, "Where are you coming from?" in a friendly manner. I told him, and he said, "Yeah, I figured you were from that part of the country. People don't say 5 like that around here." The way I spoke set me apart from what the local man was used to. He became curious and asked me where I was from. It wasn't a question asked to divide us, but to increase understanding of each other in a small, polite way. Is it possible to extend the benefit of the doubt to people that ask you about your heritage, rather than decide on reflex that they are being racist?
Yeah, it does usually seem to be men who ask me, like, where I'm from.
They're probably attracted to you and want to get to know you better. Maybe you're not straight. Maybe men approaching you has an added factor of ambivalence for you. I have no idea. But someone being attracted to you, being curious about you, that is an insult, is it?
And I know plenty of Asian women who have this, like, my story is not unique. Like, I know so many people who have similar experiences.
How about people with heavy accents, of any color or ethnicity? How about the common question of, where does your family come from? Which I have been asked countless times during my life. Do you think only Asian women are ever asked about their heritage?
And I don't know why it's Asian people that people love to, like, ask that question to.
It's not just Asian people. Why can't you imagine that it happens to other people as well? And again, why can't you imagine that it's not inherently a personal slight to ask such a thing?
But I know, like, this guy, he totally seemed like he was trying to, like, gain points with us and be like, oh, like, I can speak, like, your native tongue, even though, like, I only speak English.
So you do understand that he was trying to impress you. Yeah, you know those racists, always trying to impress those people they think are lesser than they are.
Well, I mean, if people say, like, oh, where are you from? I respond with, oh, I grew up in Camarillo, California. I'm not gonna go into, like, first generation, whatever. But yeah, I used to answer the way that I know that they want me to answer, like, be like, oh yeah, like, my parents are from the Philippines. But now I'm always like, no, like, this is actually where I'm from. And then they're like, oh, so, like, but where are your parents from? I'm like, oh, so you should have just asked that in the first place.
I've got nothing to add here that I haven't already said, or asked, or pointed out. I just thought I would let her fully reiterate her self-chosen intolerance of curiosity.
I think people don't really realize, like, the implications that where are you from give. Like, because it implies that you're not from here.
You don't think people realize the implication. Could you be projecting a negative implication onto such questions, rather than treating them as innocuous until you have a reason to think otherwise?
Like, I feel like it's usually white people that ask me these questions, or, like, my friends. Sorry,
Oh, so people of a particular skin color, they tend to behave in a certain way. Making assumptions about Asian people, simply on their appearance, that's bad. But white people? Yes, tell us more about how you see white people.
Yeah, usually when it's a white person asking, it feels even extra uncomfortable, because it's like, oh, so are you implying that, like, I'm not from America?
Notice how you're the one asking the question there. Notice how you've equated white skin with xenophobic. Notice how these notions are coming from you. Now, what would you call someone who assumed specific thoughts or beliefs in an individual based on their skin color? What word would you use to describe such a person?
My advice for anyone who always gets asked questions like, where are you from? Or, like, what's your ethnic background? Do I have any advice? I guess try and figure out why they're asking.
What is there to figure out? You've just spent the past few minutes telling us that any such questions are intended to offend, intended to make you feel as though you don't belong. Now, suddenly, you advise creating a dialogue? You seem to be a very confused person.
I feel like you should try and get them to say exactly what it is that they want from you. Like, what are they looking for? Try to make them feel uncomfortable, because, like...
So, try to find out why they're asking you such things by making them feel uncomfortable. You're not advising a polite dialogue. You're saying that the proper response is to interrogate them on their true intentions. Because what they've asked is just too surface level. You need to find out their true motivations by assuming their motivations are impure, by making them uncomfortable, while you decide if they've committed a thought crime or not. Got it.
I see the thing about like that guy, I really truly think that he wasn't trying to be, like he had no idea that what he was saying was totally offensive and like stupid.
If he had no idea, then can you imagine that he also had no ill intent? And if you can imagine that, do you understand that any offense present in the situation was something you conjured into existence all by yourself?
He thought that he was complimenting us.
So you know what he was thinking, do you? He thought he was complimenting you. But you can't accept that notion and call it a day, can you? There needs to be something insidious to it. He must have been victimizing you. Somehow.
And I think, so when people, say questions like, where are you from? Or like, what's your ethnic background? Just let them know that it really isn't a compliment. Like, you are actually being incredibly rude. Sorry.
Yes, I can imagine the scene before me, back in Louisiana. I give the man the time, he asks me where I'm coming from, and instead of answering his polite question politely, I instead go, why do you want to know? Why would you even ask me something like that? Do you understand how incredibly rude that is? Yes, such is the response of a reasonable, rational adult. Thank you, Sapphire. I think you've given us all something to think about. As always, thank you for watching.